Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I am Rashni Bharara, your host. And before I move ahead, let me read out this very important disclaimer. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. We are thrilled to have you join us for another insightful episode. Today, we are tackling a topic that's set to redefine global talent mobility. How important will the O1 visa be in the next 4 years? Well, insights from an experienced immigration attorney. Returning to the show is someone who truly embodies expertise and resilience, the remarkable Ralph Antonioli. In his first appearance, Ralph captivated us with his incredible journey and unparalleled knowledge of immigration law. If you missed it, let me remind you why he is a leader in his field. Ralph is an immigration attorney with nearly 30 years of experience specializing in business immigration, sports law, and creative visa solutions. As the founder of Antonio Lee and Associates, based in Washington, D.C., Ralph has guided countless extraordinary individuals through the complexities of the O1 visa process, boasting an impressive 99.9% approval rate. But Ralph's story goes beyond his profession success. As an immigrant himself, he understands the challenges his clients face on a deeply personal level. His journey is one of resilience and inspiration, overcoming life-threatening medical challenges to rebuild his career and dedicate himself to advocacy for both immigrants and disabled professionals. So, in this episode, Ralph returns to share his expert insights on the future of the O1 visa, the extraordinary ability visa. As industries worldwide compete for top talent, this visa is becoming a cornerstone for innovators, artists, athletes, and visionaries seeking opportunities in the US. What role will the O1 visa play in the next 4 years? How can individuals and employers adapt to this evolving importance? And Ralph will also provide answers, predictions, and actionable strategies. So, whether you're a returning viewer or tuning in for the first time, get ready for engaging discussion with valuable insights. So, without any further ado, let's welcome Ralph back. So, welcome back, Ralph, to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. We are again delighted to have you with us, to explore on this very important topic.
Thank you, Russian, for having me. I'm happy to be here and hopefully I can provide some insightful information and at the same time put people at ease because there is a lot of noise out there and sometimes people need a little bit of reassurance that despite the challenges that we may face, they're not alone and immigration lawyers are you know ready for whatever is going to come. What the next 4 years are going to be
Mhm.
challenging, but we're ready. So I'm really helpful and grateful for to be in a position where I can help my fellow immigrants to secure their dreams to come to the United States, work here, and find a way to
Mhm.
um, find a better future.
Uh, right, Ralph. Before we get into the topic, I actually would like to know because you have been an immigrant yourself, and then you decided to become an attorney. Maybe because of the challenges you saw being an immigrant, is that why you decided to become an attorney yourself so that you can help the immigrants, or or there was any other reason behind that? I mean, before we get into the topic, I would like to know this from you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a great question and interesting because I came to the United States in 2004.
Hmm.
My background, I was already a lawyer in my country, Paraguay. So my background was in criminal law. I was working as an assistant prosecutor.
Hmm.
So I came to the United States in 2004, with your typical immigrant story. I came with nothing. I didn't even have a resume. So um, I was struggling to find a job, and because I speak 5 languages, somebody said, "Why don't you try immigration?" And I thought, okay, I will do immigration law
Hmm.
um, for a little bit. And so then I got involved, and then I really loved idea of helping people out. And then at the same time, I was like, if I do my own papers, nobody's gonna, it's gonna be easier for me. So here I
Mhm.
am, 20 years later, I'm still doing it, and just just launched my own firm. And
Yeah.
yes, that's why I became an immigration lawyer, because I like to help people, especially people who are in my shoes. Like I always say, when I take a case,
Mhm.
I know what's at stake. So, and I treat that case as if it's my own case. So, because I never had that. Well, when
Yeah.
when I came here. So, I mean, everybody can say they're an attorney, but unless you actually been, I think that makes a difference. Like if you have been through the process. I mean, I came in, I was in H-1B, then I did a, I went through the permit process, then I became a permanent resident, and then about 10 years ago, I became a US citizen. So, it was, um, it wasn't, it wasn't an easy road, but it was a worthwhile journey, if you will. So yeah, that's sort of how I got involved in immigration law.
I mean, that's a beautiful, inspiring story, Ralph. But I would also like to know from you that, I mean, was it difficult back then, or is has it become difficult, more difficult now to, get into the country and to, live your life as an immigrant?
Well, they're not going, I mean, a lot of the audience is not going to believe what I'm going to say, but when I came here, there was no H-1B lottery. I mean, there were so many unused H-1B visas,
Hmm.
that I remember I applied in August.
Oh.
Back then, and I still got my H-1B. Then, a few years later, the lottery started, and it was April 1st. Um, I mean, for those who don't know, now the visa process has changed, but back then it was, between April 1st and I guess September 30th. So usually by the first week of April, all the visa numbers will be gone. But when I came, I didn't apply until August. So I mean, um, so I mean, in response to your question, I would say, yeah, it was probably easier in a way, but
Hmm.
I think the challenges are still there. Even though there's the United States loves to say that it's a country of immigrants, the immigration system is far from perfect. I mean,
Yeah. It does has its loopholes. I mean,
yeah,
which not needs to be discussed, and which of course needs to be talked about, and that is what we are doing in the show today. And today we are covering, everyone. We are covering about O1 visa and how and what O1 visa is going to be for the upcoming 4 years. So stay tuned with us. We are going to ask a lot of questions from Ralph, and he will be definitely helping us with really great, insightful answers. So stay with us. And I can see already that a lot of people are here with their questions. Harsha is here, and then Purnima is here on LinkedIn. And Purnima has a question, Ralph, about her nephew. So, Purnima, please stay tuned with us. We have a lot of questions that we would like to ask from Ralph. And after those questions, we definitely are going to dive into the viewer's question. So please stay here, keep on listening to Ralph's answers, and yes, we will take your questions, but in a bit. So, Ralph, my very first question to you. I mean, I know everybody, I mean, people already know what O1 visa is, but for the ones who are joining us for the first time, or for the ones who are a little confused about what exactly O1 visa stands for, could you please tell them again what O1 visa is?
yes, absolutely. The O-1 visa is a category for what the law says extraordinary ability people. What does this mean? Um, this is what I like to call a statutory dance, meaning the the regulations are, basically describe how someone qualifies as a O1 beneficiary, if you will. Um, so the O1 visa is divided into two: the O1A, which is a visa for those individuals with extraordinary abilities in the sciences,
Mhm.
um, education, business, and athletics. The O1B, on the other hand, is for people in the arts, motion pictures, and television. So, depending on what the field of expertise is, then you decide whether you go on O1A or O1B. Now, um, there are, depending on the field of expertise that a person has, um, that's when you decide to, that's when you, in the first that you decide what your field is. Then, as I explained in the first episode, the critical part is to narrow down the person's field as much as possible. So the narrower you can make the field, the higher the chances are to get an O1 visa. So, for example, if you say I'm an expert in AI, that's not narrow enough. I mean, you can have potentially millions of people who qualify for that. But if you say I'm an expert in developing this type of language or this type of, there may only be like 5 or 10 people. That's the goal, and this applies to both O1As and O1B. So in short, the O1 category is for people who possess extraordinary abilities, but at the same time, extraordinary ability does not mean this unattainable level of expertise. It's just um, it's a way. I mean, it's a way to show how a person, based on a number of criteria, depending on whether the person decides to go with an O1A or O1B, does. So again, this is why I want to emphasize that no matter which route you decide to take, working with competent and experienced counsel is critical, because the person may be extremely experienced in its field, but at the end of the day, it comes to an immigration lawyer to put together a great petition. So I hope that answers the question. We can go into more detail if you want, but basically is for people who meet the definition of extraordinary ability. And if you want me to expand on what that means, I'm happy to do that.
Thank you so much for answering the question, Ralph. You have very well explained what O1 visa is. So, please, because sometimes with extraordinary ability, people do tend to get confused with what exactly comes under extraordinary ability. I mean, there are artists, there are athletes, there are sports people. I mean, so many people are there, and then some people do fall under extraordinary ability. But then there are people who also get confused with what can be termed as this extraordinary ability. So, for them, if you can please clear the confusion.
Yes, absolutely. So extraordinary abilities, again, you have to look at whether you're talking about an O1A or an O1B. Again, the O1A will be for individuals in the field of sciences, education, business, or athletics. For um, extraordinary ability in those for O1A, that means that the person is among a small percentage of people who have reached a level that is not generally available. Meaning, this is why I said that narrowing down the field of expertise is critical. So, if you, um, for example, if you have an expertise and there's the ideal for an O1A will be, and even for an O1B too, but the idea here is say, okay, define your field of expertise in such a narrow way that when you present your petition to USCIS, you are arguing that there are literally like 5 people in the whole world that do this. That is the goal. And when it comes to O1Bs, it's similar, not identical, but it's similar because you're looking at the arts and the motion picture and television. What the regulation require is a level of success that is not typically um, found in the field. So um, again, I want to emphasize that if you have one, for example, going back to the O1A scenario, if you have one, for example, a like an Oscar or uh, this is O1B, sorry. So if you go to the O1A, for example, if you won a Nobel Prize, or
Mhm.
if you have won the World Cup, or something that has to do with the sciences, like a major recognized award, that's all that you need. Then, if you haven't, then you have for the O1A, you have 8 criteria that you may meet, and you only need to meet 3. Um, when it comes to O1B, it's the same idea. With I said earlier, for example, if you want an Oscar, that's all you need for an O1. If you don't have an Oscar or a Grammy or one of those internationally recognized awards, then in that case you have 6 criteria that you can choose from, and again you only have to meet 3.
Mhm.
My in my experience, I've done, I would say, over 100 O1s, and my approach is always, okay, let's meet at least 4 out of the 8 or 6. That
Mhm.
way, if the immigration service doesn't count one of them, you at least have another one, at least one more to fall on. So that's, I mean, you don't necessarily have to be a superstar, if you will. Maybe that's where your question was headed. All
Mhm.
you need to do is work with competent counsel and put together a pretty reasonable and strong application. And again, if you don't have like a internationally recognized award, or um, there are still other criteria you can meet. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
so basically that's I hope that's the answer you were looking for, because
Yeah.
I mean it's a little more convoluted, but again, what I want to emphasize is the fact that it's a statutory dance. And what do I mean by that? It means you basically have to check boxes. Of course, unless you have a major award or um, recognition, but at the end of the day, it comes down to how many boxes you can check out of the criteria.
Right, right. Thank you so much for that detailed answer, Ralph. It very well explained what extraordinary ability and also the differences between the different O1 visas. So thank you so much
Mhm.
for that. And with that comes my next question, Ralph. And I would also like to know from you that what is the typical processing time for an O1 visa petition, and how can premium processing expedite this process?
Yes. So right now, and again, these are just estimates based on what USCIS information provides. Um, O1 petitions, um, unlike, for example, and I want to start with this as a foundation. O1 petitions, unlike an H1B case or H1B petition, can be filed at any time. There is no, for example, the H1Bs, at least under the current system, there you have to apply in March. If you get selected, then you have 90 days to apply. So there is a time limit there. When it comes to O1s, you can do it at any time. And when it comes to processing times, based on you have regular processing and premium processing. So let's tackle regular processing. Means you send your application, um, paying the regular fees. Um, and right now, the processing time is approximately between 4 and 6 months. Again, this is just a rough estimation based on current processing time. Uh, Once the new administration comes in, this time is this 4 or 6 months is very likely to increase, because there will probably be a lot more scrutiny.
Mhm.
Um, but the option to expedite this is to file with premium processing requests, meaning by paying right now an extra fee of $2,500, um, you are USCIS, which is the immigration agency that grants O1 petitions. guarantees that within 15 business days, they will adjudicate the petition. What does adjudication mean? Adjudication means either approving the case or requesting additional evidence, which often referred to as an RFE. Some people like to say that the third option is a straight denial, but to be honest, a straight denial, unless you present a really weak case that has no basis in law, uh, will be the case. But I mean, honestly, in my experience, out of the every case that I've filed, I've never seen a straight denial. I mean, RFEs, yes, but denials, no. So that's basically the difference. It really depends on how quickly you need to be in the United States.
Mhm.
Um, so that's basically what your options are. Um, if you do processing time, again, please be mindful that this is going to take, under the new administration, at least 6 months. So, um, and again, I want to also say that in my experience, I would say 99, if not 100% of the O1s that I filed were filed under the premium processing because there was a timeline with the employer and so those are the two options right now. And it all comes down to how quickly the person needs to be here. Um, what project the person is going to be involved in, and so things like that. So those are the two options right now.
Right. Thank you so much again, Ralph, for answering the question. And I see ARD here. He says, hello, sir. Hello, ARD. Please let us know what your question is. Please feel free to post it in the comments below. And yes, we'll be taking your questions. Um, Okay, so he has posted his question. We'll be taking up that in a bit. But before we take that, Ralph, I would like to come to you and ask you that while you are answering the question, you were saying that until and unless a case is weak, only then, it's difficult uh, to get it approved. So when you say a weak case, what exactly makes a case to be weak, especially, if it's an O1 visa case?
Yes, happy to explain. So like I've been indicating since the beginning, it is very important that you work with competent counsel and that your counsel have experience in O1s because O1s, although can be intimidating, if you work with someone who has done it before, it's easier. Easier, and again, you got to take the word easy with 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 white gloves because they're so in my experience, what I've seen when it comes to weak cases will be, for example, where the case is disorganized. There is no, I mean, that there is really no correlation between what you're saying in your letter of support and the evidence you're providing. So this is why it's critical that you work with someone who's experienced in O1s and who knows how to prepare strong applications. Another thing that may make a case extremely weak is sending reference letters that are just too general. For example, if you're going to show that that you have influenced the field, typically you show that by providing letters of recommendation for people from experts in the field. And sometimes if the letter is too general and it doesn't really go into the nitty-gritty of what you do and why you are an extraordinarily person, then the then your message gets lost in translation, if you will. Excuse me. Um, the other thing is um, not sending um, proper consultation letters. Uh, if you're not familiar with what a consultation letter is this is a requirement that the O1 visas have for if you want to come in and work in expertise X, you will want the the organization that represents professionals in that field in the United States to provide you with a letter of consultation letter. So, for example, if you're an NBA player, you will need a letter from the NBA Players Association. Or if you're an engineer, you may need a letter from the Engineering Union in the United States that um, that they are okay with you coming to the United States. That's basically what it is.
Mhm.
Um, so sometimes sometimes the person gets a letter uh, from the wrong agency, so that really hurts the case. For example, if you present on a word that it's really not, um, you say it's something that it's too local, um, and it's not really. So, for example, what I'm trying to say here is, if you, like I said, you got to go criteria by criteria.
Mhm.
So, at the end of the day, it's it's how you present your case. You have to be as meticulous as you can. Make sure you go step by step, and just present a case that um, the person who's looking at it will say, "Okay, we have a case here," and ideally, you will want an approval or, worst case scenario, an RFE. So, I
Mhm.
mean, I hope that answers the question. At the end of the day, it's all about being meticulous
Right.
and working with competent counsel and making sure that you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's. So that's what it comes down to. So
Right. Thank you so much for answering again
yes.
question, Ralph. And guys, I see a lot of questions from you. And if you would like to ask a question, you can also to Ralph. You can also dial this number 425 I would like to repeat it 425 and you can put the access code 988888. Yes, 9 5 times 8, and you'll be joined us through call, and we'll be able to put you through, and you can ask your question directly to Ralph on call. So yes, make sure to give us a call on this number if you would like, if you would like to comment, or if you would directly like to ask a question, by calling. So yes, dial this number and give us a call. Okay, now without any further ado, let me directly delve into the viewers questions, because they are also eagerly waiting for it. And maybe Ralph, after this we can I'll take my own questions. So let me quickly take ARD's question first, and then I'll take Purnima's question. So ARD here says, hello sir, do you anticipate changes to EB2 NIW? I have an approved NIW. I mean, this is not related to O1, but if you would like to take this, would you like to take this, Ralph?
Yes,
I
absolutely.
can read the whole question.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can see the question. The answer is yes and no. So, um,
Okay.
so yes, the change will be probably a lot more scrutiny. Um,
Yeah.
so your national interest waivers, as you can imagine, a new administration has
Mhm.
different priorities. So again, it all comes down to um, how you present your case and if you work with. And to give you a real life example, for example, I recently worked on a national interest waiver, the NIW, for someone from Russia. And
Okay.
and one of my arguments was that, and this was before the election, um, that this person was working in democracy building. Okay. And we tied that to the Ukraine-Russia war and how Russia is using misinformation to influence the United States electorate. As you can imagine, after the election, uh, these priorities changed. So, I mean, my case is not going to be as tough now because so than if it was before. I don't know how much in the national interest. Um, Personally, I think it still is, but again, it's just how you frame it. Um,
Mhm.
and the no portion of my answer is because the law is there. They can't magically, as much as they want you to believe, they cannot just, magically with a wand change the rules, and that's not how it works.
Mhm.
So, on that, in that aspect, I don't think national interest waivers are going to change at all. Again, at the end of the day, work with competent counsel, um, follow his advice, and you know. Um, be prepared to respond to RFEs because I know the RFEs are going to increase. But
Yeah.
other than that, I don't think you at the end of the day, if you have what the law requires, you have it. There is nothing one administration or another can do. The law is the law, and that's it.
Yeah. But he also goes on to say that do you anticipate changes to EB2 NIW? I have an approved NIW. And will Trump government prioritize EB2 NIW towards getting green cards faster? I am from India. I have 10 years of experience, did my master from a US university, and been on H1B for 7 years.
Okay, so is that the same person or
Yeah, that he's ARD. Yeah.
okay? Well, so as you know, the visa bulletin changes every month. Um,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't know what, well, despite what you hear out there, we really don't know what the Trump administration is going to do. And again, unfortunately, they can't just use a magic wand and make every date uh, current. So I don't think that's going to change dramatically. Um, Unless, although I've heard that they're trying to restrict family-based immigration. For example, they only want to keep it. And again, this is what's just out there. Please don't take this as the law. I'm just sharing with your audience what I've heard from my
Mhm.
colleagues that because right now, for example, you can apply if you're a U.S. citizen, you can apply for your child, for your spouse, even for your siblings. So they're trying to get rid of some of those categories, like for siblings and adult children. So my thinking will be okay, if they get rid of those visas, maybe they're going to get, use those numbers for employment based. But again,
Mhm.
this is these are just suppositions, if you will. These are just, I don't know what they're going to do, unfortunately. Um, Nobody really does. So at this point, it's just predictions. People say we're going to experience the same thing that we did in Trump 1.0. I don't. I think this time is going to be different. I'm not going to say it's going to be harder or it's going to be. It's just going to be different. I mean, yeah, not only when I work, but in my personal life, I take a day by day approach. So I think that's probably the best way to tread carefully and see what. Um, and I think, like I said in our first event, webinar together, I said, the before you believe anything that's out there, please call your immigration lawyer first.
Yeah.
So,
Every time.
and because sometimes, you know, uh, you can tell by the way someone writes that they don't really understand how visas work, and that's just the reality. So that's why
Yeah.
I urge your viewers to not believe everything that's out there, but reach out. My information is here, so if you have any questions at all, if you're not sure about something, feel free to shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to guide you. So
Absolutely. So, guys, especially now on, there is going to be a lot of clickbait news. So, make sure to not believe in everything that you see over the internet. And if you have any confusion regarding anything and you're not confirmed about that news being true or not, make sure you can also you can reach out to Ralph, of course. And if you have any case, whether you're looking for an attorney regarding your O1 visa case, if you have that, so for that also you can reach out to Ralph for a consultation. His contact number is 240-898-2288. I would like to repeat it: 240-898-2288. His email is ralph@antoniolawfirm.com. Yes, Ralph at antoniolawfirm.com. And you can also visit his website, which is www.antoniolawfirm.com. So make sure to get in touch with him regarding any question or confusion that you have regarding your case or a news over internet. So get your confusion cleared.
Yeah.
Now, after ARD's question, I can see Shiva Prasad here. Shiva says, "What is O1 visa?" So, Shiva, I think this question is already taken by Ralph, and he has already answered this in a lot of detail. So, in the beginning of the episode, so you can rewatch that, and you will be getting a beautiful answer explained in detail by Ralph about what O1 visa
Yeah,
is. And
if Shiva wants to
mhm,
shoot me an email, I'm happy to provide him with an overview of what it works, and we can even schedule a call to talk and see how if he will qualify. What I want him to know is that O1 visas is not just for the superstars or the people who are. This is for people who have a strong background that can meet what the requirements of the law says. So at the end of the day, it's a checking the box exercise. So
right.
yeah, so feel free to reach out to me, and we can discuss that in further detail.
Right. So, Shiva, make sure to write an email to Ralph about the question that you have regarding O1 visa. Yes, like you said, he'll be more than happy to connect with you and to give you a detailed answer. With that, let me take my next question. My next question is from Purnima. So, Purnima says, my nephews have completed MS in US and completing as well. Um, is it easy for them to change their student visa to work visa? As I'm not aware of updates, I'm trying to help them with updates. Thank you.
Yes, this is
Ralph, what do you have
yeah,
to say?
this is a pretty it's we have to take this by in pieces. So um
Okay. Please go ahead.
the first question will be um again, this is probably best answered if she sends me an email and we go through the specific. But the first case will be like, what is their major in? Are they in a STEM? Are they in a STEM field? The reason I ask that is because they may qualify for an work permit based on first the CPT and then even OPT, and then you got your STEM extension. Um, Assuming they're in F1 status. Um, then um, to change to a work visa, then I think that's a bigger question, because it really depends on what their field is and whether they have, because the typical route is usually you're an F1 visa, then you secure a sponsor, you move to H1B, then the H1B turns into a perm, and then you get your green card. That's typically the route people who are in F1
Right.
visa status, student status, do take. So I will recommend her that she reaches out to me too, and we speak specifics, because the question is unfortunately too general for me to answer. But I mean, I can throw out general concepts, but again, that's probably not very helpful because I don't have the full story.
Right. Okay, so Purnima, maybe if you can provide more details regarding the case, about what their subjects are, and yes, and other details too. So Ralph can help you with an answer. And if you want, you can also get in touch with him by directly sharing an email. So his details are already scrolling below: phone number, email, and website. So yes, write an email to him or give him a call. Make sure to get in touch with him.
Yeah, I also
Um,
want to emphasize that the immigration process itself is very subjective. So you have to look at every case in isolation, if you will. So meaning, every case is going to be different. Even if you know someone who says who's got his H-1B or whatever it may be, your case is not going to be the same because every case is different.
right.
Every case presents different challenges, different, and I want,
Absolutely.
just because someone got an O1 doesn't mean that, you're going to get it the same way. It's just every case is, well, it's a new story, if you will. So if people understand that from the
Yeah.
get-go, that's helpful.
Right, absolutely. Now, Ralph, I would also like to know from you that are there, because Purnima was talking about switching to a work visa. So I wanted to ask you about that. Are there any emerging industries which are more likely to see benefits from the O1 visa in the next 4 years?
Uh, yes, I think there is a major competition now between the
Okay.
United States and Europe when it comes to AI. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be major. Um, Again, the United States economy, it's probably one of the strongest in the world right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully the United States will make it easier for people to get their work visas and stay competitive. Otherwise, people are just going to go somewhere else. So I think, always and now that you have Elon Musk being the pseudo president of the United States, um, I think just the IT world is going to continue to, just explode it for lack of a better word. I mean,
Yeah.
um, the US depends heavily on immigrant work, and again, despite what you may hear out there, you know, uh, IT will continue to play a major role. So that's and when it comes to an O1, um, like I said at the beginning, narrowing down the field is critical. So um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, if you just say I'm an expert in AI, well, there's millions of people who are experts in AI. But if you're expert in
Yeah.
AI because A, B, and C, then that's a different story. Um, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and that also plays with um, what what uh, they asked. One of the audience asked about the national interest waiver. You can say that if you have an AI and the O1 doesn't work, you can always try the national interest waiver because technology is definitely in the
Mm-hmm.
interest of the United States. So, you
Right.
have two options there, at least.
Right. 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 And also, I would like to know from you, Ralph, that can O1 visa holder work for multiple employers simultaneously?
Yes, they can. This is also one of the advantages between O1 H1B, whereas the H1B, you typically are just required to work for one employer only. Um,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me. The O1 visas holders can work for more than one, as long as each employer files a petition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's also uh, the option for multiple employers to work with an agent in the United States. So this agent would file O1 petitions on behalf of both. So, you know, so yes. So the short answer is yes, they can, as long as they each file their own petition or an agent files on behalf of both or three employees, whatever it may be.
Okay. So, I mean, can this also happen that it might get approved from one and disapproved from another?
Of course.
Scenarios like that, this can also happen?
Yes, of course. Because it's
Then,
because
then,
if
then
it
what should the person do?
well, well then if the person does that, then he will probably have to um and this goes back to like how many hours going to work for one, how many hours for the other.
Yeah.
Um so if you only have one approval, then you can only do that. You know what I mean? You can't um because what I said, every let's say company A files, company B files, A gets approved, B gets denied. You can only work for A. Uh,
Right.
okay, if you're ever going to work for B, either B has to refile or you just can't. That's I mean, because you need an approval from both companies to work for both. Otherwise, you can only work for the company that has the approval.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for answering the question, Ralph. And also, Harsha says many startups are now led by talented founders from abroad. If I'm an entrepreneur seeking an O1 visa, do my achievements as a business owner qualify, or does it only apply to more traditional definitions of extraordinary ability?
That's an excellent question. No, if she has been a successful startup, um, you can again. I'm not sure if she was here when we started talking about the different criteria to meet the extraordinary ability definition. But if the person was extremely successful in its startup, then you can meet two criteria. One of them being that the person was employed in an essential capacity. They can show that. That would be one criteria. The other one will be that the person's startup has provided was influential in the field. So then you would have you could potentially meet two criteria. Then you will just need to meet one more out of the eight. So yes, absolutely. If the person is an entrepreneur and has obtained some level of success with this um, startup, that is definitely something that can be used to meet at least two of the criteria of O1A in business.
Okay. Well, Harsha, I hope you have got your answer. Thank you for your question. If you have a follow up, please continue posting it. Let me take Sanjay's question too. So, Sanjay here says considering the increasing scrutiny of high skilled visa categories, how can over visa applicants and petitioners proactively prepare for potential changes to the visa requirements, and what strategies can be employed to strengthen O1 petitions and demonstrate extraordinary ability required for approval, especially in cases where the applicant's achievements may not fit neatly into traditional notions of extraordinary?
Great question. Yes. So, like I said at the beginning, the best way to prepare is to be as meticulous as possible. So, for example, if um, if you don't have an, for example, if let's talk O1As, which is probably the most common route that people take. For example, in the sciences, where IT, for example, will fall. Um, you need to show 3 out of 8 criteria, unless, of course, you have like a Nobel Prize or something like that. So, for example, um, membership in associations that requires outstanding achievement. Um, Proactively, you can start looking at fellowships in your field. Um, Look at what is required to become a fellow at one of your at one of the organizations that it relates to your field. For example, employment in a critical or essential capacity for organizations with a distinguished reputation. This is another criterion for the EB1A. Sorry, O1A. There you can, work and make sure that your work is pretty much essential to or critical to the organization you're working with. Um, you also have, you can also participate as a judge working, um, to for
Mhm.
basically, yeah, you kind of give your opinion and other people's in your field. That's another criterion that you can meet. Like I said, this is a case by case analysis. Um, like I said, you have 8 criteria. You only have to meet 3 to qualify for an O1.
Mhm.
Um, so um, whether there will be, and the other portion of the question is whether there will be changes to the O1. I'm not sure. Because to be honest, we not anyone, nobody really knows how they're going to change. But I suspect that O1s is probably going to be left untouched. I mean,
Mhm.
there will be
Yeah.
more scrutiny, which is why it's critical to prepare and put together strong application. But I don't think they're going to, for lack of a better word, I don't think they're going to mess around with the requirements.
Okay. Well, Sanjay, I hope you have got your answer. Thank you for your question. Continue posting your follow ups if you have any. And Purnima is back and she says, yes, I will check with my nephews and update based on their interests. They are in technology for MS. Okay, let me quickly take Anjali's question here also. But meanwhile, Ralph, would you like to add anything to this?
Yes. If the next question will be whether they have already secured their work permit. I mean, looks like if they're in technology, that's
Mhm.
definitely a STEM field. So they probably, if they're an F1, they'll probably qualify not only for their OPT, but for their STEM OPT, which is a 2-year work permit. Usually that's the gateway to an H1B. You work for a company that's in your field, and then they kind of, you kind of make your presence known there, and then that transitions to an H1B. So again, I I suggest that she reaches out to me via email, and we can take it from there. Because
Right.
it's there are some information that we would need to determine whether, like, what is their current status, like exactly, do they have work permit now? I mean, see, you know what I mean? That may change the conversation. So
Right. So, Purnima, make sure you get in touch with Ralph because he also needs a lot of details from your side, which is not possible to cover in the show right now. So, get in touch with him, write an email to him, and he'll be able to help you. And let me take Anjali's question next. She says, "What are the potential consequences for an O1 visa holder who, after entering the United States, undergoes a significant change in their career or field of expertise, such that their work no longer aligns with the original basis of their O1 petition? And how might this impact their ability to maintain and extend their O1 status or transition to a different visa category?"
yeah,
What would you like to say, Ralph?
this is an excellent question. And I want to start by saying that one of the advantages of the O1 is that there is no limit. For example, no limit as to how long you can stay in the United States. For example, the
Mhm.
H1B is typically for 6 years. The
Yeah.
O1, it's initially for 3 years, and then um, you can extend indefinitely for 1 year increments. But here's the question. Here's the most important part. In order for you to continue to extend your O1, um, you need to continue working in the field that got you your O1. If what you do materially changed, then you may no longer be eligible for an O1 and would either be required to change your status to like an H1B or leave the United States. I mean, those are the options. If you are no longer doing O1 work, that's kind of tricky because um, then you have to consider what are your long-term options. Um, 'cause I sort of want to pivot here a little bit and say, if you have a strong O1, um, the idea will be for you to strengthen your external ability so that you can eventually get an EB1, which is
Mhm.
um, sort of like an O1, but the EB1 is to get your green card. So yeah, I mean that's the easiest question, the easiest way to answer it. If your if your extraordinary ability duties, let's say, change dramatically, then you should probably consider changing your status right away, or worst case scenario, you may even have to leave the United States to avoid any issues later on.
Okay. Anjali, thank you for your question. I hope you have got your answer. If you have follow ups, continue posting them in the comments below. And yes, we'll be taking them. Maybe in the next episode, if we don't have enough time for today, in our today's episode, we'll be taking them in the next episode, or we will be replying to them after getting an answer from Ralph in the comment section. So continue posting your follow ups if you have any. Ralph, with that, I would also like to share my screen and ask some of the Facebook questions, because there were a couple of questions which are asked by viewers on Facebook groups related to O1. So if you are okay, I would like to share my screen and take those questions from the viewers.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Okay, so here are the questions asked by people. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this anonymous member says, "Hello, hello, lawyer." Said my hello, my lawyer said my O1 approved almost 3 weeks ago, but still have not received my approval notice. Also, the USCIS case status check hasn't been updated since they received my RFE. Should I be concerned? This feels awfully long. What do you have to say?
Well, first of all, I would, I will not feel concerned because keep in mind that we're in the holiday season and there is administration transition coming, so things are much slower than they were before. I will give it another week, and if your lawyer doesn't give you an update, I will probably just follow up and make sure he gives you some type of evidence that that the case was approved. For example, if your case was premium processing, your lawyer maybe have gotten an email from USCIS, a premium office, premium processing service, saying that your case was approved. So if he hasn't shared that email, again, if that email exists, I will ask your lawyer, can you please share that with me? That will give you some peace of mind.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for answering the question,
Mhm.
Ralph. Next question is from this person, I think. This question is this is about DACA to O1B. So he says DACA to O1B for a Michelin star chef. Initially entered the US with a tourist visa, overstayed, then applied for DACA. What do you have to say?
Well, I have to be in full transparency. DACA is not really um my what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not really my cup of tea, but
Expertise?
but I will so I believe the question is, can I change from DACA to O1B?
To O1B, yeah.
So I will have to do a little research on that because I'm not sure if DACA gives you an actual status. I mean, the fact that you overstay
Mhm.
your tourist visa may be a ban to you changing to O1. But again,
Yeah.
this
In
will
itself is a
this
red flag, right?
this it will based on what I know about DACA, and again, this is really not my number one source of expertise, but I would think the trying to change to an O1B from DACA will be kind of tricky because um, DACA is sort of it's a parole, not a status. But again, I could be wrong. This may require for me to do a little bit of extra research because, like I said, I don't do many DACAs, if any, at all. So
Mhm.
this will require a little bit of extra research on my part.
Okay. Okay. But still, thank you so much for taking that up,
Yeah.
Ralph. Let's move on to the third one, which is a pretty long question. Okay, but still, I would like to read it. This anonymous member says, "Hello, everyone. I'm currently an F1 student and I'm planning to apply for an O1B visa. I recently participated in a pageant competition where I received around 15 awards, including modeling related recognitions. Additionally, I have collaborated on TFP, Time for Print projects with several photographers to build my portfolio. Next year, I plan to apply to modeling agencies and work towards advancing my career in the United States. I would greatly appreciate any guidance or advice on how to strengthen my profile and prepare for the O1B visa application process. Thank you in advance for your support and suggestions. What do you have to say for this?
Yes. So based on what I see here, she is in the modeling business. So we're going to have to go with, yes, O1B in the arts. We're going to argue that, modeling is within the arts. Um,
Mhm.
Again, what I've been saying throughout this program today is that the O1 category is sort of a statutory dance. So I'm going to, um, you have to gaining those 15 awards will be great, but they will, that's going to be one criteria. You still need to meet,
Okay.
you need to meet at least three out of the, um, unless, for example, what we will need a little bit more information as opposed to like say what type of pageant was it? You know what I mean? If it's
Mhm.
like a Miss America or something like that, that it's internationally recognized, then that's probably all she would need. Um, we could argue that that's an um, internationally recognized event that would, that would allow her to get the O1 just based on that. Otherwise, she will have to work on meeting as many criteria out of the six available for O1Bs to get her a O1A. For example, she would need letters from her modeling agency saying why she is different from all the others. And so, like I said, it's a case by case scenario. We will have to, again, if for example the pageant she participated in is notorious enough, if you will, then that may be sufficient. But again, it's a matter of sitting down and going through what what her skills are and what she has and what else she can work on to continue to strengthen her O1 portfolio if that's the route we're going to take.
Mhm. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ralph, again for answering this question. I think that's it for today. And because, we are almost done with the time too, and I'm sure you must also be busy. But thank you so much, Ralph, for taking all these questions. I still have a lot of questions pending, not just from my side, but also from these groups, from people. So, how about if we do a part two of this episode and discuss the pending questions in the part two?
Absolutely. If you don't mind, I see a question here that caught my attention. It's like a 10-second question, so I
No,
will
no, of course, of
I, will-
course.
I will
If you have time, we have. I mean, we definitely would like to extend it
yes, I have
if
time.
you
I
are
mean,
okay.
it's up to you. Yeah, I see a question here from Adabi. It says, what is the O1 grace period before leaving the country? Um,
Is this the one?
I believe it's the same person, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It has two parts. So let me read it from the first part.
Hmm.
The first part says currently on an O1 visa, ending employment May 1st, 2025 voluntarily. My question is come May 2nd, 2025, I'm no longer employed. Hence, O1 is redundant. How long can I stay in the US? What is the O1A grace period before leaving the country?
Yes. So the first question is, when did the employment end officially? Um,
Yeah.
let's say the employment ended December 1st. Okay.
She says ending employment May 1st, 2025 voluntarily.
Well, she says I'm no longer employed. So does that mean, well, that I'm a little confused because she said my question is come. So if you are employed, if your last day of employment will be May 2nd, 2025, then you have 60 days from that date to either change your status or leave the United
Okay.
States. If your employment ended before then you have to count the 60 days from the day of your last employment. So if it was December 1st, um,
Mhm.
then it will have to be probably February 1st. Um, so it's 60 days from the day the employment ended. Based on how this um, ended, this question
Mhm.
is written, I think she's saying yes. See, now I'm rereading the question. So starting on May 2nd will be the first day over 60 days. So yes.
Okay.
My
Okay.
I actually I would have a follow-up question saying, are you now, since you said you're going to voluntarily leave, are you now
Mm.
doing O1 work? Because if you're not, then that could be an issue. I mean, this goes back to a question that someone else asked before, saying, what if I stop doing O1 work or something along those lines? How do I?
Mhm.
Well, you have to continue doing O1 or then your O1 will not work anymore.
Valid. Right. Right. Okay. I think this answers the question. I think perfectly. So thank you so much for taking that up for Madhabi, Saha, Ralph. Thank you so
Of
much for answering
course.
the question. And yes, with that, like I was saying before, that we still have questions, um, but because but we would like to do a part two, so that because there are a lot of pending questions also, talking about uh, the permanent path to residency, and how will the O1 visa serve as a permanent path to residency, and then effective strategies for transitioning from an O1 visa to a green card. So I still have, and I'm sure it won't be possible to cover this in 5 or 10 minutes. I'm sure it's going to take a lot more than that. So how
Yes.
about if we do a part two, so that we can take these questions and discuss it in detail in the next episode?
Absolutely. I think we should also, probably, give about a month or so in the new administration. That way we have an idea
Mhm.
of where things are going um
Um,
or some.
sure.
I
Oh,
mean, I'm just
absolutely. We
because
can do
because
that.
because I mean, I would think in the next month is going to be there's going to be a lot of noise. So
Yeah. Yeah. After I think January 20th, if we will have some clarity, if not everything, but we still have some clarity where are things going, or where will things head towards.
yes,
So yes, we can definitely do a show after the 20th of Jan. I'm going to write back to you, and you can let me know whenever you are available after that, and we'll be scheduling the show. How about that?
absolutely. I also want to encourage your viewers to email me if we weren't able to cover the questions today. Um, I want them to keep in mind that the O1 visa has no cap. and you can file at any time, which is a great advantage. Um,
Mhm.
so keep that in mind. I mean, I'm open to answer any questions you have. I've been doing this for 20 years, so you know,
Absolutely.
sometimes when you think your case is going to go one way, it's not as bad as you think. So please feel free to rely on me to, I'm going to untangle this for you. So thank you for your time.
Right,
And,
right.
I'm looking forward to working with as many of your audiences as possible. So,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
all right.
Thank you so much for seeing that, Ralph. And guys, if you want to get in touch with Ralph, make sure to give him a call on the number 240-898-2288. I would like to repeat the number 240-898-2288. You can also email him. His email ID is ralph at antonioleelawfirm.com. And you can also visit his website, which is www.antonioleelawfirm.com. So make sure to get in touch with him, write an email to him, or visit his website and get your confusion cleared. And also, if you are looking forward to get a consultation, so you can also, connect with him for a detailed consultation. So thank you so much again, Ralph, for being here. It was great having you. Really looking forward to what's going to happen on the January 20th and after that. So excited to, excited for our next show. We are going to cover O1 in our next show, episode 2. But yes, we'll be doing that after the January 20th. So yes, looking forward to that. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you and happy holidays to everyone. So,
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and happy holidays to you too, Ralph. And we'll be meeting you in the next year. So thank you so
yes,
much.
thank you. Take care.
You too. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And for now, I'll have to take your leave. We have another show coming up, Daily Immigration Dose at 4 p.m. So make sure that you are streamed and tuned with us at that time. And you're also joined with us through call or maybe on the stream, discussing the topic that we have for today. So, yes, I'll have to take your leave for now, but I'll be meeting you very soon. But until then, take care. Keep on watching and keep on subscribing to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. I'm Rajni Bharara. Bye for now.